The world needs more innovations for a sustainable future. Silicon Valley is a world-leading ecosystem of actors working together to identify opportunities and scale innovations in a global market. The close interaction with leading universities and the strong presence of venture capital contribute to creating a dynamic innovation system. Vinnova Silicon Valley's mission is to highlight Sweden as one of the most innovative regions in the world and link the Swedish innovation system and Silicon Valley. Together with the other Nordic countries, Vinnova has created the Nordic Innovation House, which connects tech companies and research institutions from the Nordics with the Silicon Valley ecosystem. Vinnova also offers fellowships in Silicon Valley in collaboration with Wallenberg Foundation. Vinnova. We need to innovate how we innovate.
Welcome to Vinnova Silicon Valley and Sweden Innovation Day, broadcasted in collaboration with Nordic Innovation House. Vinnova Silicon Valley edition focuses on sustainable themes by 7 sessions in 3 days. Check the program for all our sessions. These sessions will be recorded and you will find it on swedensiliconvalley.se in a short while. Again, welcome and enjoy.
Welcome to this Electrification Hub program, where we will talk about how to accelerate electrification through innovation and co-creation. We will have a lot of interesting guests in the studio. Some spearhead companies are coming here to talk about how they innovate. But before that, we will talk to the Swedish Innovation Agency and the Swedish Energy Agency.
Thank you. Welcome, Jenny, and welcome, Michael. We are going to talk about the transition we're in terms of electrification and electromobility. And we're seeing a huge change both in the automotive sector and the transportation sector. The energy sector is undergoing big investments to get the infrastructure and the demand that is required. And we see mega factors in terms of batteries and also other types of investments going on. So a big transformation. Michael, how would you describe the transformation from your perspective?
Yeah, we need to do the transformation because we have to fight the climate change. And if you look into the transport sector, it's a great polluter of CO2 emissions, and also the industry sector. If you, for example, you have the steel industry is 7% of the total CO2 emission is from the steel industry globally. So we have to change that. And if you look, if you go over to electric vehicles, then electric vehicle is more efficient than an internal combustion vehicle. So we need to do the change.
Mm-hmm. We need to do it because of the climate. And Jenny, that means that we need to have innovation. We need to get new things out into the market. How would you describe, as you work with the innovation processes, that they have to be adapted and developed?
Yes, that's a great question. I mean, we are good innovators in the world, in Sweden, in Silicon Valley. Well, we know how to do it. The thing is that we have been really good at innovating incrementally and also in our own discipline. So yes, super good background to come from. But now we need to be more systemic in our innovation processes, and we need to collaborate cross disciplines, cross sectors, and cross nations, because the climate change happens to the world. So I think that is really the key. And another thing I wanted to add is that we have also the combination of the digital representation and the physical representation. That's going to be super important if we're going to do this transition, as we need to know what did this happen, what did this lead to when it comes to carbon footprint.
And that means that we have to have new actors, new types of companies into the sector. How does this drive business, do you think?
When it comes to business, we need to bring the big money in to have capital to change the climate and invest in small companies and invest in scale-up companies that have the ideas and the products for the CO2-free world, I think.
And being from the public sector, what do you think what's going to be the role of the public sector in this change?
Well, I think from Vinnova's perspective, we feel that we can help creating that safe, open space where we can have new constellations of innovation and also the dialogue about what this means, because we're going to need to see different actors stepping outside the comfort zone and create something that we haven't created before, and it has to be systemic, so we need to do it together. So I think we can have that neutral role in the system.
And we also need, I think, have a global cooperation. We need to have share ideas, share results from different projects. And we need to bring, as I said before, Swedish Energy Agency have a program for investors. We need to continue work with the program for investors, and I have next week I'm going to Dubai and discuss with really big investors how to fight the climate change and what opportunities there are in the sector to invest.
Excellent. Thank you very much for now. We will come back later. And now I'm handing over to Elin and some of the cases we're going to look into from Electrification Hub. Thank you for now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anna and Arvid, welcome to the studio. Anna, you are the research manager at Volvo Construction Equipment. So you're looking after the research portfolio. And Arvid, you're managing the brand partnerships.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that Volvo Construction Equipment, you have the largest range of electric construction equipment in the world or in the industry. And this is just the beginning of your electrification journey. And why is electrification so important for Volvo Construction Equipment?
Well, at Volvo Construction Equipment, we ask ourselves constantly, what world would we like to live in tomorrow? Mm-hmm. And by asking yourself that question, you also realize that decisions we take today is actually what influence how the world is built tomorrow. Mm. And driving the transformation in the construction industry towards more sustainable solutions is really the key for us right now. And it's not just by talking, it's by action that we want to act. And when it comes to the challenge that we have is that the largest emissions is actually in the use of our products. And in order to influence the CO2 emission reduction is actually to really go for the electrification. And that is also aligned with the initiative Science-Based Targets, where we have committed now to be set to net zero greenhouse gas emissions in the entire value chain by 2040.
Mm-hmm. But how do you work then to accelerate innovation and really make the transformation to this fossil-free, emission-free future?
Yes, innovation is in our DNA. We are a company that has worked with innovation for 190 years. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what we need to do is to accelerate and to do more and to do things faster. And that needs new ways of working. I mean, first of all, the change will not happen by doing the things we used to do. So that's really important for us. The other part is really to collaborate and create consortium or setups with mutual learning. So in our research project, we actually invite or go together with both customers and academia and other enterprises in order to really learn from each other, learning by doing, learning by testing out, and adapt accordingly.
Mm-hmm. We're going to get back to the research projects in a while, but let's talk about collaboration and the partnerships, Arvid. And I mean, you're a super innovative company. Can't you do all this on your own?
I think as Anna said, we need to speed up. We need to find the right people. We need to think outside of the box. And areas where we look at that today is, for example, 5G technology when it comes to connectivity, We look at advanced artificial intelligence. And then we also see that there might be areas where we really need to step up and take a stronger responsibility and even dare to work with our competition. So that's how strongly we believe in this, getting this speed and getting these solutions forward. We would never dreamt of working with competition before, but now we do. We also want to take a broader responsibility. So we work with the World Economic Forum, for example, to be part of this First Movers Coalition and be a founder of that, to really push big companies like ourselves to really buy low carbon products and services and challenge the whole world when it comes to their purchasing behavior. So I think we are up for it and we are going to partner. I think partnership is the new leadership.
And I know that you are also involved in a really super interesting project where you have actually made a completely new kind of wheel loader out of a Lego model. It's completely groundbreaking. So Arvid, you're going to have to tell us all about that.
Yep.
But before you do that, let's have a look at the video.
It's so fun to see the Sux because it's so different. The features, the way it's moving, the way it's interacting with the material, everything is just crazy. And I guess that's part of this project. It's to find these new angles that we never thought of before.
The Sux is the next step in our automation plan. It's a fully automated wheel loader, and it's one of the most fantastic products I've ever seen, actually.
So since Sux doesn't have a cabin or an operator, that's opened up quite a lot of opportunities for the design.
Here the biggest difference is the scissor frame chassis. The Sux concept is protected with a few pending patents, where one of the patents is actually filed from both Volvo and Lego Technic together.
One cornerstone in a good design is, of course, the usability and the interaction with humans.
The funny thing is that the future is already here. We're already out there driving autonomous machines in commercial operation, actually. We have haulers now, but in the future we will see other types of machines that are automated, either semi-automated or fully automated.
Seeing this going from a toy, passing the kids, and now seeing the real thing, it's an amazing story, and I'm just really happy to be part of it.
Super interesting project, Arvid. And how did you come up with this idea of making a wheel loader out of a Lego model?
Well, first of all, I think it's just daring to do partnerships and talking to other companies and understanding what happens if we do this, and then working at a company like Anna and I that dares to take these decisions and let us get on with it and just try. Let's have fun at work and see what happens. And this happened. I mean, amazing.
It is absolutely
It's fun.
amazing.
Yeah.
But that the kind of thing that happens when you work together. And
when you have fun at work. Yeah.
But let's talk about the research initiatives then, Anna, because I know that you are also involved in some really interesting projects. You have one demonstrator called the Electric Worksite. Can you talk about that? What is it?
Yes, Electric Worksite is actually what we did in Electric Site 2018, where we were able to reduce emissions of a quarry 98%. So what we have done is to put this in an urban development and the challenges that are there, and in a jointly partnership with the electric ecosystem, trying out how would this work out with the reduction of emissions in a city environment. And that's an environment that we all can connect to, so it's really engaging.
And how important are those kind of demonstrators for you and those kind of partnerships?
Well, I think it's absolutely critical, because we have to try out and learn from each other and really test the solutions out there.
And Arvid, what are the drivers then? Because I can clearly see the benefits, from also a business perspective. But why are you doing all of this?
we really want to build the world we want to live in. And if we want to have a world that we can live in, we have to do this. And if we can do it in a fun way at work and accomplish great results with partners, and we can really build the world we want to live in, then why not? This is what we have to do. This is our responsibility. And we have the right people and we have the right culture in our company. So we believe if all of us jointly work together, we will solve this and have a great future.
Anna and Arvid, thank you for coming to the studio and sharing your story. Before we bring in our new guests in the studio, we will have a look at an interview that I've done with ABB. Eva and Peter, welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
You both represent different parts of ABB. And Eva, you are managing the charging infrastructure at ABB. And as I understand, you have one of, or the fastest charger in the world. And why is that so important for your customers, the speed?
When it comes to electromobility, we are going from something for rich geeks, can I say it that way, to normal people. Normal people with a normal life and a limited number of hours a day. And they don't have the time to stop charging for an hour doing nothing. So they need to do it fast. They want to drive electric. They want to take care of the environmental stuff and be good persons. So they need fast charging and ultra fast charging. And we have that solution.
So that is taking away a lot of the charging anxiety then, I guess, that you can actually charge very fast. But how about commercial vehicles like trucks and buses and construction equipment? Is the speed also important there, or is it more the availability, or will they charge in depots, or how does that work?
I would say both. During night or when the vehicles still are not working, then they could charge in a depot, and that's fine, and they don't need that fast charging then. But during the work hours, during the productive hours, when they have a driver of the vehicle that will only wait, then of course they need fast charging as well. And there I will say it's even worse than in our private life, because the clock is ticking, the money is ticking, so they really need fast charging even there.
Okay, but what happens if everyone wants to charge at the same time? Is that really going to work?
We need to do it in a planned way, and we need to take care of the power, the limited power we have. So you have to divide it for this charger and that charger, and who needs it most. So that is, of course, an area where we need to innovate even more than we have done so far.
Right. And Peter, you are the CEO of Sannö, which is a growth hub, an ABB growth hub, right? So can you tell me a little bit more about Sannö? Because, I mean, ABB has been around for more than 130 years, innovating from the start. How come that ABB realized that you wanted more external input, so to say, into the company?
I think you used the right word already before. It's all about speed and, of course, value creation. And startups bring something to the table that maybe not every corporation is having. And leveraging each other's strengths, I think that is a more efficient way to create value. Doing this, it's very hard to do one-on-one. I mean, one corporation, one startup. So we did some benchmark, and we figured out that if we can open up infrastructure from ABB, create trust with startups, and work at scale. Work at scale, I mean work with many startups. Learn, you also gain insights, and of course you learn how to scale together with the startups. Then we are better off than just doing everything by ourselves. So that is our ecosystem that we are building up, and also more and more working not only with ABB but also with other corporations and strategic partners and collaborators.
Right. So, and how does that work in practice then? And how do you find the needs? Is it like Eva? And I know that you are also involved in a lot of demonstrators where you look into innovations and new solutions and stuff. Do you come to Peter to find those kind of startups with those innovative solutions, or how does the work between you work?
That's absolutely possible, because we could be looking for a solution of something, and we don't have it on our own. So where to find it, and then Synelip could be the perfect place to look for a solution.
Every new startups we are onboarding, for instance, we introduce them to the ecosystem every month, and we have 350, 400 participants just listening in. And from there, the hypotheses come into place, and what we bring is the experience in how to really finding out if these hypotheses are true or not. We kind of build experience in how to collaborate in a fast and efficient way. So I mean, like Eva and the ABB colleagues are coming with their needs, but sometimes also the startups come with their hypothesis how to create value together. And then it's all about figuring out and confirming the hypothesis.
Okay. Interesting. And I know that you are also involved from ABB side in this new initiative eCharge.
Yeah.
Eva, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, it's a quite a new demonstrator, just in the startup phase right now, with some big OEMs, vehicle OEMs and infrastructure builders, and a number of other companies and universities and so on. And we are building an area in Sweden for megawatt charging and vehicles that could take megawatt charging. So it will be even faster. And it's really, really exciting. So let's see, in a number of years from now, this will be the new normal. So it's really, really exciting. And I'm sure that on the way there, we will need solutions of problems that we don't even know about today.
It's interesting. How do you take those kind of needs to the innovation system, so to say? How does that process work?
You need to be open also for disruption. So therefore you need to be able to listen to what is the ecosystem kind of telling you, what are the signals. And then you need to be curious in order to really follow up. If someone tells you that you can make miracles, maybe you should at least spend some time in order to verify if it can be true. Because if it is true, it maybe will disrupt yourself or others. So therefore the process cannot be set into stone. You need to open up for disruption, but you also need to be structured in order not to just waste your time, so to say, really finding what you are looking for.
And I mean, it's obvious. If you don't listen, you can be out of business very, very fast. Or you can be lucky and find a really good partner that you do business with, and you share the success.
I mean, we have now onboarded more than 115 startups from 20 countries and more than 200 collaborations. We have seen also the unicorns being created in this ecosystem. So it's, I mean, leveraging each other's strengths. I mean, it's such a big upside. So if we can kind of shave or remove the friction in order to make it easy for a really confirming hypothesis, I think then we are on the right track. And their ecosystem is the way to go.
Interesting. And I mean, it must be a huge boom now, or how you could say describe it. But I mean, with electrification, because everyone is moving towards that direction to reduce the environmental impact and all that. So Do you see any effects from that there are more and more companies moving into that area, or is it more on the digitalization side? I know that you have collaboration with Microsoft, for instance.
Of course, bringing the corporations that really is used to have products and hardware and manufacturing plants, there are so many synergies with the digital startups. And Silicon Valley is one of the areas where we are picking up quite many of the startups.
And I mean, the electrification trend is old, but also rather young. When it comes to electrification of transportation, it's very young. So all those businesses are young. But I mean, ABB have worked with electrification for 130 years or something like that. But a lot of things have happened the last 10 years. And we see many new colleagues in electrification business. And especially the last 10 years. And they are new ones coming up all the time. And they are good. So we better keep on being good. Otherwise we will be out of business. And I think that is really important to understand, that you can't live on your old skills all the time. You need to be curious and you need to be open-minded to bring in a lot of new skills, people, partners, colleagues. And that's important.
I think it's important also, and I think that you at ABB have that mindset to see rather collaborators rather than competitors,
yes,
if you like, because that's really the way to go in the future.
That's the reason I call them electrification colleagues.
Okay, thank you for coming to the studio and talk about this. Peter and Erik, welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You are both from Hitachi Energy. And now with the electrification of the transport system, we are really connecting two systems. We're connecting the energy system with the transport system. And Hitachi Energy is right in the middle. So can you explain to us, what is it that you're actually doing?
Yeah, correct. Hitachi Energy is right in the middle of this, and we've been pioneering the power system business and been active within it for more than 100 years. So understanding both the implications of how generation affect the grid, as well as loads, and especially then new loads like the transport sector will put to the grid, is essential.
And with this connection of the transport system and the energy system, can you explain where are we now in that process?
I think we are in the beginning of the process of seeing this kind of connection to the transport sector. We have taken sort of the first steps. Some of the businesses, like for example buses, have gone from a pilot phase and are now in a commercial phase. But we will also see a big impact of new, more renewables into the grid, which will continue to affect it. But in this transformation as well, it's what we will see is basically we are going from central production with the big, larger production plants to a number of smaller production plants and smaller sort of inputs into the grid. Different loads, other inputs, and a mix. So it's a new electrical grid system that is on the rise.
Okay, and new systems, you say, but are the customers really ready for this? Because I know that you are very close to the market. So are the customers ready for the change?
It's a very good question. As we see it, they are very new into this, and they are very traditional as well. They've been running on diesel for like 100 years, and now they need to rely on electricity instead. So it's a lot of new questions that they are asking themselves, and we are trying to help understanding how to utilize a new source of energy to have their vehicles running. And as Erik says, we also believe that having more local production as well as energy storage will also ensure their business, having their trucks and buses leaving the depots in the morning.
So what is needed then? I mean, to really make the transformation, is there something lacking here?
I think if we look at it today, I mean, we have the technology that already exists. We are looking at the low margin business that is going through this transformation. And what we see when we talk to the market is really they need to have the willingness to take that risk. And the incentives are not there in yet. But we need to have very, very clear incentives to get this transformation happening. And we don't have that much time.
Mm. Okay, so you say the technology is there, but we need still some kind of new innovations. But is it more in the areas of business models then?
Yes, we believe so. We believe that it's a lot of new investments coming up. They have been running on diesel for several years, but now they need to buy new trucks, but also invest in the charging infrastructure. And the money is not really there. So the incentives are very important, but also how to utilize the investments as much as possible. And in order to do that, we also think that we need to come together as a group to utilize the investments in a better way in order to have the return on investment quicker. So I think that we need to see it more from an ecostructure way.
Mm. Okay, talking about the ecosystem then, how are you working with partners? And everybody's talking about the collaboration along the value chain. How important is that to make this happen?
I mean, if you take it from the customer perspective, they want to have basically, they want to be able to use their vehicles as they use the vehicles today, driving them on liquid fuels. And looking along the value chain, there, I mean, even though we are coming from Hitachi Energy, we have most of the solutions already there, but there are always white gaps. And I think in some of those areas, it's really important to find partners that are quick and agile, that can sort of fill those white spots.
Mm. But from your perspective then, are we going to be able to make this change in time? I mean, we have a few years now where we really need to reduce the emissions. Are we going to make it?
We don't have any choice. We have to. And we need to come back to the challenges, but also the drive. I think we see it in the market. At the end, it's us as customers that set the standard, how will we be transported to work? How will our deliveries the packages be delivered to our home? So it's us that sets the standard. And the market is willing to follow. And then we need to wrap it up together with the society and us as vendors, but also the truck and bus owners.
Mm. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now we're going to get a summary. So back together with the Swedish Innovation Agency and the Swedish Energy Agency.
Thank you. Now we've heard 3 interesting cases and heard about how companies co-create with different actors and to get these new solutions out. Jenny, what's your reflection on this that we've heard?
Well, first of all, I'm so inspired. I love how we, in these cases, we can hear how they think about this electrification journey as a holistic thing that needs to happen with, I mean, we need the electric grid, we need the efficiency in the system. It's not only getting the electricity, it's also utilizing that resource in a smart way, and then also the layer of the connectivity and sharing information. And especially if we think about the business model development that needs to go together with this, and how we need to not only consider efficiency to make profit, but also thinking about like the carbon intensity, like how much carbon contribution and all that. I think they have in all cases understood that this is a systemic challenge that needs to be solved together.
Interesting, and Mikael, they talk about the climate change and the transformation that needs to happen, and how we scale it. What's your reflection on that?
I'm really happy that you can see the companies is taking this really seriously. And I've been working with in the clean tech sector for 13 years now, and now actually there is a big transition, but it's because that it's possible to make money. There's a lot of interest from everyone. Everyone wants want to have the big change. So that's why we bring in the big companies to the table. If you look in the Swedish perspective, you can also see that many companies is moving here because of that we have carbon-free electricity here.
It's a global challenge, and we hear from these companies that most of what they do is going everywhere in the world, and we need to work together. So, Jenny, what do you say about these? How do we work together internationally to solve these issues, or at least address them?
Yeah, well, we need to understand that we have a lot to learn from each other, and we need to understand that it's fairly urgent. I mean, this is upon us now. And then having the courage to get out of our comfort zones and see how we can create the new, better future together.
And also bring the solution that we have already to the market and commercialize them. I think it's very important.
And can we, I mean, as a final words, maybe, what are we going to be able to do that? Are we going to be able to scale?
Yes, I think that. I think that we are going to do it. I think.
Excellent. And how about you, Jenny? Are you also hopeful about the future?
Oh yeah, I am definitely hopeful. And as long as we combine the technology advancement with bringing the community with us and scaling it globally, I'm super hopeful. But it's going to be hard work, and we can do it.
Thank you very much to both of you, and thank you for listening to this session. And we look forward to working with you to accelerate innovation and electrification globally. Thank you.